So I always like to start out these meetings about what is HAQAST. And first of all, the funny acronym that stands for the Health and Air Quality Applied Sciences Team, we pronounce it HAQAST, kind of like Outcast. And this is a 4-year initiative that is going on through 2025. But it's really the third generation of an initiative that started back in 2011. The current iteration has 14 members, and each of the members is working with a team of co-investigators, students, and collaborators with the mission of connecting NASA science with air quality and health applications. The activity of our team really falls into 3 different categories, and I think you'll hear about all of those today. There are member projects, and these are the projects that individuals proposed when they joined the team and was the basis of their selection for the team. Then there are what we call tiger teams, and these are collaborative projects that have emerged over the course of the team, specifically to support stakeholder applications. And these are generally 12 to 18 month kind of fast turnaround projects. And finally, I work with Jenny and Alex and the NASA Applied Science program to support outreach and build engagement and partnerships and support emergency response and kind of new needs as they arise. So I mentioned that this is the third generation of the team. The first generation was called HAQAST, which focused on US air quality. For the past few years, we've been HAQAST, focused on both health and air quality. And while in some respects, this activity resembles other sorts of applied science programs, the team structure really changes the outcomes. It increases the visibility of work and resources to end users. It builds a culture of support to promote collaboration, and we can spin up high value activities in part through regular sharing at meetings like this. So our goal is for the whole to be greater than the sum of the parts, even though each part individually is pretty impressive. So when we think about NASA data, there are models, there are aircraft flights, there are ground-based instrumentation, but the gemstones are really the constellation of satellites that observe the Earth from space, allowing greater coverage of chemicals that we really could never see from the ground and could be used by different organizations in different ways. And what HAQAST is really a bridge trying to connect billions of dollars of infrastructure from NASA and other agencies around the world with the practical needs of organizations that can use it to advance public health and clean air issues. So our team has 14 members. You'll be meeting all of these team members today over the course of our meeting. They span government labs and universities from Alaska to Florida and almost everywhere in between. I mentioned these two types of projects, the individual projects and the tiger teams. We're really in the middle of the first year of the Tiger Team collaborations, and many of the sessions in today's meeting are focused around presenting the work of these Tiger Teams. You'll also be hearing about the individual projects, and really there's a kind of a ebb and flow between individual and Tiger Team projects because HAQAST funded researchers are often participating in Tiger Teams that fit naturally with what they're already doing and support some of their existing partnerships. The meetings like today are really an important part of our activity because we really want to hear from stakeholders. We have many stakeholders speaking on the panels of our meeting, and we also want to invite your engagement through the question and answer and discussion, both in the chat and through back and forth. We have online coffee time, and we really hope that you'll take advantage of these to share your thoughts because we take the comments and input from our stakeholders and from these meetings very, very seriously. We hope you'll join us in person in June when we'll be in Houston, we hope, and then in Madison, Wisconsin in October. Some examples of highlights that have come out of this team. One that just came out yesterday, published in Nature, was a study by Randall Martin's group presenting a global analysis of changes in nitrogen dioxide during the COVID-19 lockdowns. Work over the past few years by multiple people on our team in the journal Environmental Manager, the magazine published by the Air and Waste Management Association, highlighting different ways that satellites can be used for national ambient air quality standards, introductory information, how it can be used for health, and the benefits of the new tropomi instrument. Another highlight has been the use of satellite data for environmental justice, which is a growing initiative through the NASA Applied Sciences program. In fact, they've just launched a new group focused on environmental justice, and John will be talking more about that. But one of the NASA images of the day from November came from work out of our team with co-authors Susan Annenberg and Randall Martin and Pat Kinney, who was part of the previous generation of HAQAST. And Kelly Crawford, who was quoted in that piece, is going to be speaking in our panel, in one of our panels in this meeting. Another example of the kind of cool work that's been coming out of our team has been looking at the impact of emissions over ports. And this is a big focus of Ted Russell at Georgia Tech, his individual project, and also the Tiger team led by Dan Goldberg and who's in Susan Annenberg's group. And they've been looking at NOx emissions in different contexts. Here's satellite evidence showing that while NOx emissions were going down over land areas during the lockdowns, that's the blue, you can see air pollution offshore going up due to the ships that were circling in the harbor. Yang Lu's group at Emory University has been supporting analysis of wildfires for health and developing metrics that were reported in the Lancet Countdown's policy brief. And my group at Wisconsin has been building on Brian Duncan's work with EPA. For many years now, the EPA has included satellite data in its annual air trends report, as shown on the left, and they cite for that a website that Brian maintains with HAQAST funding. This has really paved the way for other organizations to look at trends, like work that we provided to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, which was included in their state air trends report earlier this year. We have these 5 Tiger teams that have been launched this year, and I'll give you a whirlwind tour. You can then use this to help zoom in on which sessions you decide to attend during today's meeting and tomorrow. One is focused on satellite data for environmental justice, led by Susan Annenberg and Xin Zhao. One is focused on enabling stakeholder access to data products, led by Kevin Cromar at NYU, trying to build a one-stop shop for data products. One led by Dan Goldberg is looking at satellite-based NOx emissions over urban areas and trying to see what would really help decision-making. Another led by Pawan Gupta is integrating high-frequency satellite data into the AirNow public outreach system. And finally, a project looking at the health impacts of agricultural burning, led by Cheryl Magsamen and Amber Soya. So a wide range of different applications that really showcase and advance, I think, exciting areas where satellite data can support health and air quality. So here we are at our Update 2022 meeting, and I just wanted to give you an overview of how we're running the meeting. After I speak, John Haynes will be giving the kind of view from NASA on what trends are going on now and what's coming. And then we'll have a virtual networking session moderated by Brian Duncan at 10:15. Then we get into our regular sessions where we have 2 parallel sessions. Every session will be recorded, so you can go back and listen to the one that you missed if you want to hear both in the same session. At 10:45, they'll be talking about environmental justice for webinar A and wildfires in webinar B. At 2 o'clock, we'll talk about climate change and links with air quality and health, as well as health disparities from rural agriculture burning and urban PM. Later this afternoon, we'll have satellite-based NOx and urban issues, along with disasters and applications of satellite data. And finally, at 5:15 to 6:15, we'll have a series of flash talks. And this is another good time to bring a beverage, relax, engage. It may not be coffee in the afternoon, but we'll leave that up to the attendee. And then tomorrow morning, we're starting a little earlier at 8:30 Central Standard Time. So I apologize to those of you in California that this is 6:30, but we'll have another coffee session if we can make sure to fix the Zoom bombing problem. And then we have a session looking at the links between COVID and air quality. There's been a lot of natural experiments going on and thinking about public communication. Then another coffee break, local air pollution, and growing access to app data for applications. So that's really our session, which goes all day today and tomorrow morning. And I hope that you'll engage in the meeting, but we have a lot of ways that HAQAST can support stakeholder engagement. Joining our mailing list, exploring our website, having one-on-one conversations with any of us, but Dr. Jenny Bradford is really there to help matchmake new users with expertise on our team. We have lots of networking, and we've really designed all of our panel discussions to have an extended Q&A session. So I hope these will be an opportunity to ask and answer questions, but also maybe to discuss issues that emerge during the panel discussions. So with that, I'll hand it over to John Haynes and look forward to an exciting day and a half. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Tracey, for that great setup for our HAQAST Update 22. I'm going to now hopefully share my screen successfully. Always the most important part of virtual meetings. I guess I'm going to ask Tracey or Jenny if somebody can tell me if my slides are up. All right, getting a thumbs up on that. Good. Well, again, welcome everybody. I wish we were seeing you right now in Houston at the Texas Medical Sciences Center, and getting ready for the American Meteorological Society meeting next week. But of course, we cannot help the variant waves, and we seem to have hit at a crest right now. So glad we were able to switch to this virtual conference and get to see all of you at least on our screens. And hopefully we will all be meeting back in person, maybe in late May or early June. Building off of what Tracey was talking about, I just want to go one level up and give, for those of you who are new to HAQAST or new to NASA Earth Science, a brief overview of what we do in the Applied Sciences program and how HAQAST fits into that. As I mentioned earlier, I am John Haynes. I am the Program Manager of Health and Air Quality Applications at NASA headquarters, part of the Earth Science Division in Washington, D.C. And through that role, I also serve as the Program Manager at headquarters for the HAQAST team. Now, as Tracey mentioned, it all really begins several hundred kilometers above our head with NASA's constellation of Earth observing satellites. And one of the biggest pieces of news since the last time we virtually met was we added an addition to that constellation of satellites with the launch of Landsat 9 from Vandenberg Space Force Base on September 27, 2021. Landsat 9, as many of you know, is in cooperation with the United States Geological Survey, and this is the 9th in a series of land use, land cover satellites that have been in orbit since the early 1970s, producing the longest global continuous record of land use, land change, and how it is dynamically changed over the decades that the world has ever known. So we're glad to continue that partnership with USGS and add that to our constellation of over 20 satellites and sensors that are in low Earth orbit, including several on board the continuously crewed International Space Station that are continuously monitoring Earth's weather, climate, and environment for research and applications purposes. This constellation represents the largest civilian Earth observing constellation the world has ever known, and would not have been possible, of course, without the cooperation of our domestic partners such as USGS and NOAA, as well as several international partners, including the European Space Agency, the Japanese Space Agency, the Canadian Space Agency, just to name a few. Now, every day, terabytes, literally terabytes of data on the Earth system and how it is changing are downloaded to our ground station from this constellation of satellites. And many of these observations are critical for health and air quality applications, such as vegetation density, land temperature, sea surface temperature, aerosols, fires, and other thermal anomalies. And you can see some others here on the slide. Well, the really great news for us and everyone across the globe is all of this data are free and open access available to the globe at earthdata.nasa.gov, not only to be used for basic research, of course, but also to be used for applications for societal benefit. Now, in the Applied Sciences program where I sit, we have a vision of a world where Earth science data and knowledge routinely guide decisions at all levels of society, and people want more. that includes a mission of enabling people and organizations to apply insights from earth science to benefit the economy, health, quality of life, and environment. We do this through 3 lines of business, including innovative and practical applications, capacity building activities, as well as mission planning. And I'll touch a bit on all of these, of course. But the vast majority of our applications work in the Health and Air Quality Program comes from competitively selected peer-reviewed grants that we call for once about every 12 to 18 months through our NASA ROSES solicitation process, which is ROSES is the NASA omnibus solicitation vehicle that we use in the Earth Science Division. Partnerships, of course, are core to our mission. Thriving partnerships are the key goal of applied sciences. Our work would not be possible without them. And over the next several years, we plan to expand connections with businesses, foundations, and nonprofit organizations while continuing to build upon our robust partnerships with government agencies. And that's at all levels, from state and local governments to the federal government to international entities as well. So we have currently 5 program elements in the Applied Sciences program. Of course, the one nearest and dearest to my heart is health and air quality applications, but we also have programs in water resources, ecological forecasting, disaster management, and agriculture, while also doing several capacity building programs, one RSET, which I'll talk about a bit later, our developed student and workforce program, as well as our international development program with USAID known as SERVIR. But really exciting news is that this year, this fiscal year, FY22, we are actually expanding the Applied Sciences program into 3 new areas. That includes wildfires, environmental justice, and climate. The wildfires program will be managed by Dr. David Green. David Green, many of you may know, is currently managing our disaster management program. He will be moving over to wildfires, and it was just announced this morning that Dr. Shana McLean, who has been with NASA Earth Science Division in many different supporting roles for many years, will take over the disaster management program on February 14th. The environmental justice program is spinning up, including we have a ROSES solicitation known as A.49 on the street right now with a due date in March. So please take a look at that solicitation if you're interested in proposing on environmental justice applications to NASA. And also a climate resilience applications area is also being stood up, all in response to the FY22 request by the Biden administration in the president's budget. So I'm proud to say we've had a health and air quality program at NASA for now well on 20 years since the start of applied sciences. Why? Number one reason, as we all well know, the potential health effects of climate variability and change, as well as knowing that air pollution is the silent killer. This infographic from the World Health Organization kind of says it all, that every year there's around 7 million excess deaths worldwide due to exposure from both outdoor and household air pollution, which leads us to the mission of the Health and Air Quality Applications Program. We support the use of Earth observations and air quality management in public health, particularly regarding infectious and vector-borne diseases. That's a whole nother part of our program that is outside the scope of HAQAST, as well as environmental health issues. We also promote the use of Earth observing data and models regarding the implementation of air quality standards, policies, and regulations, issues of toxic and pathogenic exposure and health-related hazards, while also addressing the effects of climate change on public health and air quality to support managers and policymakers in their planning and preparations in the years and decades to come. You can just see a very non-exhaustive list of our major partners at the bottom, both on the international, federal, and state level. We have now over 30 projects in the Health and Air Quality Applications portfolio. That is the largest the portfolio has ever been, I'm proud to say. So I certainly can't list all of our partners, but that's just to give you a taste of some of the people that we work with. Of course, as Tracey mentioned, one of the core facets of our program is the Health and Air Quality Applied Sciences team, as Tracey mentioned, now in its 3rd generation, with its unique feature being the Tiger teams. I'm proud to say that being now in its 3rd generation, HAQAST has been going on for now 10+ years. That shows the commitment of NASA Earth Science leadership, as well as our appropriators in their belief in the value and the novel innovations of HAQAST. They have every iteration has continued to build on the legacy of the one prior and has continued to expand its reach, but not only domestically, but internationally. So again, looking for more, of course, great things as this 3rd generation of HAQAST moves into its 2nd year. I did want to mention our training program that HAQAST works very closely with. It's the Applied Remote Sensing Training Program known as RSET, currently led by Melanie Follett-Cook at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. The RSET training program provides not only online, but in the before times and hopefully in the future times, hands-on courses on how to knowledgeably use Earth observations for various facets of societal benefit, including health and air quality. I encourage you to take a look at their website. They offer many different webinars, not only on health and air quality applications, but on other aspects of the NASA Applied Sciences program. And those webinars are archived for access later on. So please take a look at it. Again, these range all the way from remote sensing training 101 all the way to more advanced training. So you don't have to have prior remote sensing training in order to enjoy and learn from these webinars. As I mentioned, we're very active also in mission engagement, building on the directive coming to us from the National Research Council's 2017 Earth Decadal Survey and the prior ones to that, where we want to be involved at the ground level when missions are first being developed, so we can bring applications perspectives to the table early on in the mission planning process to make sure that our partners get the most bang for their buck once these missions get to orbit. And much of that comes through very thriving and strong early adopters programs, which we have set up to help potential users work with proxy data prior to mission launch and also gather their feedback to inform the development of new Earth science products from these new missions. And I'm proud to say that 2 missions coming up are crucial to the health and air quality community. That includes, first of all, TEMPO, known as Tropospheric Emissions Monitoring of Pollution. TEMPO will be our first air quality satellite by NASA in geostationary orbit, where it will literally monitor air pollution hour by hour across greater North America at a very high resolution, including ozone, nitrogen dioxide, and formaldehyde. TEMPO will form a worldwide constellation with similar satellites in Korea, looking at East Asia, and the European Space Agency Sentinel-4, which will look at Europe and North Africa. So we'll actually be able to see how air pollution is transported across the Northern Hemisphere. TEMPO, the instrument is complete and ready to go. It's waiting to be launched in January 2023. I believe January 7th is our current launch date. And again, many thanks to Aaron Nager, who serves as our lead for the Early Adopters Program for TEMPO. I encourage you to take a look at the website and get involved. The Early Adopters Program is open to everybody, as it is with our other crucial mission, MAIA, Multi-Angle Imager for Aerosols. MAIA is a mission led by Dave Diner at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California. And it represents the first time that NASA has partnered with epidemiologists and health organizations on a satellite mission to study human health and improve lives. MAIA will be in low Earth orbit, but will be targetable, looking at megacities across the planet where health cohort studies are also ongoing, so we can assess linkages between different airborne particulate matter types and adverse health outcomes. We expect MAIA to launch no earlier than 2023. The early adopter program for MAIA is led by Dr. Abby Naston of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. I again encourage you to take a look at the website and get involved with that early adopter program as well. And with that, I'm going to stop there. Please take a look at our website at appliedsciences.nasa.gov for more information, not only on the entire health and air quality applications portfolio, but the rest of NASA Applied Science as well. And I'm happy to take questions, and I'll stop sharing. Thank you.